Shalom, this is Yair Davidiy speaking to you on behalf of Brit-Am from the land of Israel. We're continuing our study, brief overall description of the kings of Israel and of Judah. We have now reached King Hezekiah. King Hezekiah was the king of Judah. In his time, the exile of the lost 10 tribes was completed. Those tribes that became the lost 10 tribes were all exiled. At first, the tribes east of the Jordan, Reuben, Gad, and half tribe of Manasseh had been exiled. After that came the tribes of the northern Galilee. And then there was left only the region around Samaria, which Samaria was both a city and the name of a province. And Samaria in the Bible is often used as synonymous with the lost 10 tribes, with the 10 tribes. And Samaria was also conquered, and all of its inhabitants were exiled, as the Bible tells us in 2 Kings chapter 17. And after the lost tribes were exiled, after the 10 tribes were all exiled, the Assyrians had brought in foreigners, and these foreigners also were taught rudiments of what one could say Judaism and biblical principles, but they combined them with the pagan practices of their own that they brought with the lands they had come from. And at some stage they also became closer to Judaism. There was a movement, there was a tendency amongst the sages, the Jewish sages, to try and convert these people to full-fledged Judaism, but it didn't work out, so they were left in an in-between situation, in between stage, one could say, where they had some knowledge of the Bible, but they didn't extend far enough. They were not accepted by the other Jews. They were not accepted by the Jews, and they were known as Samaritans. And racially, according to the Bible, they had very little, in fact, hardly any physical connection to the Israelites, to the original Israelites of the 10 tribes who had all been exiled. Now, in a description of the kings of Israel, we've reached Hezekiah. Hezekiah, when he became king, he purified the temple of Jerusalem in the first year of his reign. In the 6th year, the northern kingdom, the rest of the 10 tribes were all exiled. In the 14th year of the reign of Hezekiah, the Assyrian king Sennacherib came up and he captured all the unwalled cities of Judah, and he took away Jews, into exile, according to an inscription of Sennacherib himself, an Assyrian inscription in the Akkadian language. He took more than 200,000 inhabitants of Judah into exile, and these, according to Midrashim, became associated with the lost 10 tribes of Israel. They were part of the 10 tribes of Israel. But even though the 10 tribes of Israel therefore include a great many from Judah, they are only counted as 10 tribes because the 10 tribes would fulfill their destiny in their places of exile, and those Jews, physical Jews who were with them, would be subsidiary to them, would not be full-fledged members of the Jewish community. They would be part of the 10 tribes to whom they had attached themselves. And so too, the 10 tribes that were refugees from the 10 tribes that came south, who attached themselves to become part of Jews, became part of the Jewish people. And even though, therefore, the Jewish people have a minority group, a minority section of all the tribes of Israel, they are considered Jews belonging to Judah, because it was through Judah that they too would express themselves. The Bible is quite clear on this. The Bible makes a clear distinction between Judah and Israel. Judah is Judah, the tribe of Judah, and those who are attached to Judah, whereas Israel, or Samaria, or Joseph, or Ephraim, different names are given to the northern entity of the 10 tribes. They are separate because they had a separate task to fulfill. They were destined to become like the Gentiles, to go down to the level of the Gentiles, and then evolve upward and to bring the rest of the world forward and upward with them. This is explained by Nachmanides and by Rabbi Cook and by others, as we have discussed in previous programs. So we have this phenomenon of Sennacherib having attacked Judah and taken away 200,000 captives from Judah, that is from the cities, the unwalled cities around about Jerusalem. He also attempted to attack Jerusalem. He put Jerusalem under a siege. He besieged Jerusalem for quite a while. One stage he was diverted from his attack by the arrival of Tihak of Cush. Cush is translated as Ethiopia. It might mean Ethiopia, or it might also mean someplace in India. It's not certain. At all events, because of the arrival of an enemy army from Cush, Sennacherib ceased the siege of Jerusalem, went to deal with that problem, and then returned to besiege Jerusalem. Whilst he was besieging Jerusalem, that is for the second time at night, an angel came down and killed 185,000 of his soldiers. Sennacherib left. After that, Sennacherib left. He returned to his kingdom, and whilst he was worshipping his god, he was assassinated by two of his sons, who then fled to Armenia, to the region of Ararat in Armenia. And in the reign of Hezekiah, as we said, the exile of the northern 10 tribes of Israel was completed. The exiles had been taken mainly overseas to regions Hala, Habor, and Hagozan, and the cities of the Medes. That was overland, and people in the regions mainly into the northern areas of the Assyrian Empire. Also in bordering Armenia and bordering the Caucasus Mountains, and also the southern sections of the Caspian Sea, and so on. But in addition to that, those taken overland, as a portion of the exiles were taken in ships. They were taken in ships by Phoenicians, that is, people from Tyre and Sidon, Phoenician sailors working as proxies, as agents of Assyria, also under Edomite direction, and in addition to the Phoenician ships, also Philistine ships. Philistine ships are known in archaeological terms as Minoan. Minoan is associated with Crete, but also the Philistines on the coast of Israel also had a Minoan-type civilization. And so they too, according to the book of Amos, were active in transporting a portion of the Israelites overseas, and we found through archaeological findings and so on that they did indeed resettle these Israelites in the west, in the British Isles, in Scandinavia, and other parts of the Western Hemisphere. After Hezekiah's son Manasseh reigned, King Manasseh was subject to Assyria. The Assyrians placed Manasseh under their subjection. Manasseh persecuted the prophets. He worshipped idols. He put the prophet Isaiah to death, according to tradition. The king of Assyria came and took Manasseh captive to Nineveh, the capital of Assyria. Whilst he was in captivity, Manasseh repented, and God accepted his repentance, at least to some degree, and he was restored to the throne of Judah. After Manasseh there came Amon, King Amon. King Amon was also a wicked person. He practiced idolatry. His servants assassinated him, and his son Josiah became king. Josiah, the son of Amon, he reformed Judah. He purified the temple. He extirpated idolatry. And he also destroyed the pagan shrines in the northern areas of Israel that had been vacated by the lost 10 tribes of Israel. They still left their shrines and their pagan houses of worship in some areas still remained. So Hezekiah went through all that region and destroyed everything that may have been associated with pagan worship. Meanwhile, the lost 10 tribes have been settled overseas in the portions of the Assyrian Empire. There were tribulations and changes within the empire. After the destruction of the army of Sennacherib, according to one source, the Israelite captives from the northern tribes were unable to declare their independence. though many of them remained within Assyria and also served in the Assyrian armies. The psychological evidence shows us, at all events, to some degree, they established their independence. They confederated with other peoples who've been subjected to Assyria, such as the Cimmerians and the Scythians, and they became identified with them. At least a portion of them became identified with the Scythians. At some stage they managed to take over the Assyrian Empire. They had served in the army, they had reached high positions in the Assyrian army. We have found generals in the Assyrian army with Israelite names. We also find entire units of cavalrymen, of archers, of different specialized military units who seem to have all come from Samaria. Also in fortifications, see the influence of exiled Israelites on Syria. And so the Scythians, for a short period of time, they managed to take over the whole of the Assyrian Empire, to take charge of it, and they established contact with Josiah. Josiah, when he destroyed the idols in his own kingdom, and in the northern, the areas of the northern kingdom, had in effect declared his independence from Assyria. That was how it went in those days. If you were subject to a foreign power, you had to worship the gods of that foreign power. If you refused or ceased to worship the gods or pay obeisance to those gods, that means you were in rebellion against that foreign power. So Josiah almost from the beginning had been in rebellion against Assyria. And apparently Assyria had been weakened, was not able to do anything on this matter. And the Scythians took over. They took control of the Assyrian Empire. The Scythians included within their federation Israelite groups, and they made contact with King Josiah. And Josiah attempted or encouraged the Israelites among them to come back and resettle in the area of northern Israel. And the prophet Jeremiah was also instrumental in this. He also played a part in this, and the Scythian Israelites did go back to some degree. They made Beth-Shean their capital over the whole of the Assyrian Empire for a short period of time. There was a capital of the Scythians in that region ruling over the Assyrian Empire. And also Israelites were there. They attempted to settle in that area, and it was intended to be a beginning of the return of the 10 tribes, but it didn't work out. They soon lost control of the Assyrian Empire. They too were weakened. Others came to the fore, and those few Israelites who had begun to settle there, they returned to their places of exile. The Nachmanides speaks of this, that is, Jewish sages speak of this, and also the indications confirming it in archaeology and other sources. So this is of interest. This is a point that we have studied and developed and explained according to the sources, and it apparently did take place as we have described it. I mean, at all events, the Scythians no longer controlled the Assyrian Empire. The Assyrians took back control of their empire to some degree, but they were faced with opposition. They had to fight against the Medes and the Babylonians, who were coming to the fore, who were allied against them together with others. A whole host of former subject peoples had begun to attack Assyria and attempted to destroy it. And at the beginning, the Scythians, that is, the Scythians with Israelites amongst them, at this time were allied to Assyria, and they were protecting Assyria until somehow either they were persuaded to change sides, so that the Scythians, the Medes, the Babylonians and others participated in destroying the Assyrian Empire, and the whole of the Assyrian Empire was destroyed. Then the Medes from Media, they got the leaders of the Scythians drunk at a celebration and then killed them all. After that, the the Medes and the Babylonians. They divided the Assyrian Empire between them and progressively pushed the Scythians out of the Middle East into the areas of southern Russia. And from southern Russia and southeast Europe they moved to the west. That is, the lost 10 tribes were amongst them, and they moved with them as well. King Josiah of Judah, he was killed fighting against the Egyptians who were marching to the aid of the Assyrians. Apparently the Egyptians did not want the balance of power to be disturbed in the Middle East, so they decided to back Assyria against the Medes and Babylonians. And the King Pharaoh Necho was marching through the northern area of Israel in an attempt to get to Carchemish in the region of northern Syria and to assist the Assyrians. And he was going to fight against the Medes, Babylonians, and the Scythians, who by now had changed sides. King Josiah attempted to prevent him from moving onwards, and so King Josiah was beaten and defeated and killed in that encounter. After Josiah was killed at Megiddo by the Egyptians who were advancing to attempt to assist the Assyrians, the son of Josiah became king of Judah. He took the name Jehoahaz. He was deposed by the Egyptians, so another son of Josiah, Eliakim, became king, and he changed his name to Jehoiakim. He reigned for 11 years. Jehoiakim reigned over Judah for 11 years, and he was followed by his son Jeconiah. He reigned for 3 months. After 3 months, he was taken into exile by the Babylonians. His uncle, Methaniah, who was the son of Josiah, became king in his stead. He called himself Zedekiah, King Zedekiah. He entered into an alliance with Egypt, and he attempted to rebel against the Babylonians who ruled over them. The Babylonians under King Nebuchadnezzar, they invaded Judah. They conquered the city of Jerusalem. King Zedekiah was taken captive. And the Babylonian military leader Nebuzaradan was sent to destroy Jerusalem and the temple, which is what he did. After that, all the Jews of Judah were exiled by Babylon. They were exiled to Babylon. This was the beginning of the Jewish diaspora. The Jews were there. They were in Babylon, under Babylonian rule, for a period of about 70 years. Meanwhile, the Persians came up. The Persians had been the subjects and had been tributaries to the Medes. And they took over from the Medes while being subject to Babylon. They took over from the Medes, and then they rebelled against Babylon, and they conquered Babylon. King Cyrus, the king of Persia, he allowed the Jews to return to the land and to rebuild the temple. So that is it. That was an outline of the kings of Israel and Judah. There's much more to speak about. We only gave it in a very summary form. We hope you received a general picture of what was happening. May the Lord God of Israel bless you. Thank you.